Hi there, this is Alyssa from Unbusy, where I teach you how to simplify your home, create routines that work for you as a work at home mom, and uplevel your work from home mindset. You're in for a treat today because this is actually a live coaching call. Shannon is a work at home mom with two special needs kids and a husband who works a lot. So, on this call, we're going to map out a plan for her to deal with those recurring pop up tasks to send her normal routine to overload land. And if you want a call just like this, but tailored for you and your problems, then fill out this quick application to get started working with me, because I want you to be an amazing work at home mom and actually be able to get everything done. So let's make sure you truly love your work at home mom life. Head over to the link below and let's make it happen. So, hi, Shannon. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Alyssa. It's so nice to see you.
Yes. And give me the 2-minute brain dump on your outside the norm one-off to-dos that just wreck the day for you.
Okay. So what I've been seeing coming up a lot is, like I've really cut back on a lot of things. I've really just taken to heart a lot of the things that you teach and made some really good adjustments on my everyday schedule. But then I'm finding there's all this stuff that comes up and it feels like all the time, if you have more than one kid, one gets sick and is home for a week. Oh, and then the other one gets sick and is home for another week. And so all that time, I still have work obligations that I need to take care of. Of course, I still need to take care of myself, but then I also have little ones who need attention and want mama. And so that's one of the things that comes up. And then since I do have kids with special needs, we have, I could have at any time just stacks of paperwork thrown my way, like, oh, we need this back next week, or oh, we need to do a 3-hour evaluation and you need to be there. Or you have to get them in for an appointment for this or that. So a lot of things can kind of come up that I don't have a good way to really plan for. It's really just at the whim of the different agencies and care providers. Um, and then my husband does have to travel some for work or, work late sometimes. So then he's not there to help out. And, like it's tax season. Okay, when am I actually going to get my stuff together to send the accountant? So all those things that come up that are sort of outside the norm. And I'm wondering, am I sort of fooling myself in saying that my normal routine works and I actually need to be cutting back even more? Or are there some sneaky little tricks that you have up your sleeve that you can teach me to make it a little easier?
That was a great rundown. Thank you. So, first off, I just wanted to say that you are so self aware about knowing your work hours, planning in for all the regular therapy and appointments your kids are getting, and paperwork time, and cutting back so much on all your other commitments to make your daily schedule run. So, you're doing so much right. You're absolutely on the right track. It's just these one more straw tasks that we need to get a handle on. So what comes up for me here is we need to get you some regular margin time to deal with those pop-up to-dos, because they are definitely not part of your regular rotation, which is working really well for you. Yet the one thing you can guarantee is that something's going to happen every month. In fact, can you tell me, are these things popping up every month, or is it more like they're coming up every week?
I mean, if I'm honest, it probably is something that comes up every week. You know, just the things I kind of listed off the top of my head now has been in the last few weeks. So if I average it out, there's at least something every week coming up.
Okay, good. So now we know what you need, which is the weekly margin time that's guaranteed built into your schedule to handle these things. It is a simple fix and it will instantly give you the extra time you need and make everything better again. We just have to do a little pruning.
Okay.
So, for weekly, can you drop or streamline or outsource? Maybe I'm guessing some of the house management stuff. Work is work, special needs are special needs. We don't cut those ones, so that you can have one afternoon or one morning a week for these unexpected must get done tasks. Would one morning or one afternoon be about the right amount of time to handle what usually comes up? Or do you need more like a full day?
Yeah. Well, I think no, I think just like a couple hours a week probably would be good. So like,
So just
yeah.
like 2 hours.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So what would it take to clear just one block in your schedule?
Um, I feel like I've cleared so much already.
Yes, you
Um,
have.
so one thing I did do was I decided to cut out 1 hour of work on Mondays and Wednesdays and to leave that to make dinner instead before the kids get home, because I was finding I was getting really overwhelmed with having kids coming home, me trying to cook, interfacing and hear how their day went with their therapist, and do, all that activity all at once was really exhausting. So I decided I was going to just like, move the dinner time task before they come home so I could just be a little more calm and present with them. So I cut that out, but I'm wondering if like I could, when let's say they're homesick, they're not going to have their therapist there. Maybe we just really simplify dinner and that doesn't happen. And instead, then I can use that margin time to deal with these things that come up. Like, okay, they need, to go to the doctor, or they need to, I need to pick up prescriptions, or they just need some extra mama time. That could give me a little bit of margin on those days.
That would sound really good for the sick weeks. Yes.
Mhm.
How is the work efficiency on the meal prepping, since those are usually the fastest ways to get some extra time?
I feel like I have a pretty good system down. I have a set meal plan that I follow kind of on repeat. So I've made those recipes a ton of times. I, just get my stuff out, get it put together, get it in the oven or whatever I need to do, or the crock pot. And so I feel like it's going well. I mean, if I look at it over the course of getting everything out, cooking, putting everything away, it probably does take me about an hour. But I feel like it's going pretty much like clockwork.
Okay. And on the work end, is there anything else we can spitball, a little outsourcing, automation, whatever? Is that pretty much dialed into the T because you've been
Yeah,
minimizing and
I
streamlining?
think it's really dialed in for work. I have somebody who helps me do everything
Great.
that I don't have to do. And I only take care of the client facing, like the actual copywriting that I need to do for my clients. So that's going really well too. My only other thing I think is like, okay, I could try to I think the big thing that keeps coming up for me is, are we trying to do too much for their therapy? Do we need to cut back? Right now it's 5 days a week. A lot of that does provide really needed support, but it also means that we're running around, a couple times a week at least, and having people, therapists come into the house, which can be a little bit of, an upheaval sometimes too. And so, I like, do I need to be cutting back there maybe? Um, that's not necessarily going to give me more focus time to do paperwork, but um, it would give us more downtime.
Which is important. Okay, so let's dive into that. What comes up when you think we drop this? Obviously, there's a oh goody, some downtime. What are you afraid that your kids might not get if you reduce the frequency? What would
Uh,
happen? Like worst case scenario.
um, so they're in a sort of stable, good place right now, as good as they have been for a while. And so I think I do have that fear, like, oh, we're gonna go back to where it's a lot more chaotic, and their behavior is not as under control, and then I will need that support. And once you let go of those therapists, the wait lists are years. So it's a big thing to say, okay, we're going to actually cut back. So yeah, just not having that support if we do need it, is a fear. Yeah.
Okay, so that sounded more like you're completely cutting out certain services versus lowering the frequency. Is that what it would need to
No,
be?
it would be
Yeah.
lowering. Yeah, it's just kind of like one less day a week is what I
Mhm.
was imagining.
Okay. So in that case, is the fear actually true that you'd be stuck on a multi-years long wait list if you simply didn't see them as often?
With that particular therapist, yes, but there is a possibility we could get, it would be more like, um maybe like 6 to 9 months to get a different one.
Mhm. And has anything like this happened in the past where
Yeah,
you've
that's
dropped back the support level and then they've not reacted well?
yeah, not directly because we dropped back the support level, but just things shifted back to a more challenging state. So that's why I'm just a little leery.
Mhm. And on the flip side, if you imagine dropping, what do you feel would happen? Do you think there would be many benefits to the kids themselves with more downtime, or do you feel that that's more for you, not for them? Like,
I think it's both. Yeah. I am not 100% sure, but I feel like they do need more downtime.
mhm,
And not to have to be always, it's like they're working full-time little jobs with, they're either at school or in therapy. So it
mhm.
is like they have to be on, 8 hours every day of the week. And that does seem like a lot. It's definitely not what I imagined for my kids, but
Yes.
I didn't plan any of this, obviously. So,
Mhm. Yes. Now, obviously, not a therapist, take this with a grain of salt, but your mom intuition can be very powerful, as I'm sure you already know. What do you think your kids need most? If you were crafting that optimal day for them, knowing they've got school, knowing they have this many appointments and therapies and the ones that are really helpful, and what's your kind of gut idea of some of this, they would really benefit more downtime, less downtime. I think this is good. What changes would you make if you're throwing out what the therapists tell you to do and just building something with your children in mind?
yeah, I think that I would cut down one day a week, and give them a little bit more downtime and see if that, actually helps, gives us more time to connect, gives them more, just time to recuperate from the week, and just maybe feel a little bit better, not always having to do something.
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds like a great strategy to try. And I understand it's harder to go back and add on when we're talking about therapy versus saying, oh, we can just join back in an extracurricular activity.
Mhm.
But I would maybe start there and
Mhm.
see how that goes for you. And is that cutting back one day a week? Would that be enough to give you that 2 hours of margin time?
It would probably realistically give me like 1 hour of
Okay.
margin time. Mhm.
Yeah. The other place we can look, if you don't feel like there's anything else we can do in the meal prep in terms of speeding it up or having anyone help you, if your husband's typically gone during that time of day and you're already kind of going as fast as you can, um, what are the house cleaning tasks looking like? Do you have any help with that,
So I do have
etc.?
help with like the actual cleaning, and then I have a good morning routine in place to take care of just the general, make sure dishes and laundry get moving during the day, general kind of cleanup. So I feel like that's going really well.
Now, I don't know your children's capabilities. Are they able to help with any of that simple tasks? And do you have them
They
doing some of that for you?
Yeah, they're doing really well at taking on some more responsibilities. And so they are, I feel like we've added a few things in the last couple of months and they're doing well with it. So I think they're in like a really realistic place that's not going to put them under too much pressure, but that is also giving them some responsibilities. And so that's good. They are legitimately super helpful.
Great. Have you thought about adding any help from them to your supper routine in terms of either the prep or taking dishes over or, loading dishwashers or things that are on their level that are fairly easy? So you're not the person who's doing literally all of it.
Mhm. Yeah, they do help with the cleanup. Right now, what my plan is to be cooking before they get home.
Uh-huh.
But you did say something interesting just to get more help. Like, even though my husband's not home, in the evening to help out, I'm wondering if we could just, one thing I've been thinking about is if we could make bigger batches and then
Mhm,
not cook every night.
mhm.
Um, so that might be an option, or to cook, like have him cook a bigger batch of something on the weekend so we can have leftovers. Because he's a great cook and willing to help. And that might just like give me that extra hour that I need to have the flexibility during the week.
That sounds like a great solution. You're not asking him to do something he doesn't have time for when he's tired, but it's something in his skill set that he would enjoy.
Mhm.
And the cook once and eat twice has been typically a lifesaver for me when I have a family size that allowed us to do that. So I think
Uh-huh.
both of those are really great ideas for you to look at. Are some of your recipes, do you know right off that they would be doubleable? Or do you think
Um,
would you have to play
I don't
around a
know.
bit?
Are there certain recipes that you feel like are better candidates than others? Usually, like that goes better.
Well, we eat a lot of different things. So from the mac and cheese to pasta to rice and curries and whatnots. Sometimes it's more the amount of time you can spend the first night. Like you can double macaroni and cheese and double pizza and hot dogs, but it may not be as efficient as a double batch of Instapot rice, but
Sure.
everything can still be done. Um,
Mhm.
what are some of your favorite meals? Like, just three or something.
We do, let's see. Well, uh, we do like, I like doing a lot of soups. Could be like really simple, like just, chicken breast and cauliflower rice, or um like spaghetti sauce, and we'll do green beans with it. So it's pretty simple. Or tacos, like a bunch of
Mhm.
taco meat, and then just everybody gets their own toppings. I have a picky eater, and so we try to keep things sort of separate and very simple.
Yes. No, that sounds like a lot of meals similar to what we eat. So as long as no one minds the reheated, I mean, the spaghetti sauce and you just made 2 pounds instead of 1 pound or whatever your
Mhm.
normal amount is, and reheat it the next day. And chicken breasts and cauliflower rice, if no one, again, if reheating is fine, then you just used 2 pans in the oven instead or
Mhm.
whatever. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
sounds
think we
like it would
could
work
try
okay.
that.
And taco meat, I've taken to just doing in like 5 pound batches in the Instapot. It doesn't help maybe for the other taco items, but if you're going to do your taco night back to back and your fresh items will keep, other than like
Mhm.
avocados or something,
Mhm. Yes.
then double amount of tortillas or whatever, and double amount of lettuce and yogurt or sour cream and cheese.
Mhm.
Like it can all work pretty well. And then it saves so much time when you're just like, all I'm doing is getting the stuff out of the fridge, setting it out on the
Yeah.
counter. Everybody help
Mhm.
yourself. Like it's not the
Mhm.
whole 40 minutes of prep and cleanup and cooking.
Yeah.
And I have
Yeah.
no problem with eating the same thing again when it's a favorite meal. And hopefully your
Mhm.
family would be more like that too.
Yeah, I think we could definitely try it. I think it could go well.
The other trick, if they like more variety, is go ahead and do a double batch, but then alternate. So
Mhm.
you did the double batch, you shove it in the fridge, you cook something new tomorrow
Uh-huh.
night, you shove it in the fridge, but day 3 and day 4 are both leftovers nights. So you
Okay.
just need more fridge space. But if
Mhm.
that can work for you, then they feel like they're having variety. It's not the same thing every night. You are alternating. So
Uh-huh. Okay,
you
I
could
like
do
that.
3 meals like that, day 1, day 2, then you 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6, and you have in between there. So you're cooking like 4 meals a week, 3 that you'll repeat, and then the seventh, or
Mhm.
whatever, depending on what
Okay.
your weekend lunches look like, if those are more leftovers or
Yeah.
leftover or round 2. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like that a lot. Thank you.
And to come at everything from a different angle, if you're just looking at all the tasks
Mhm.
total of the kids and the personal and the business and the house, is there anything that you look at and say, actually, I would like it if I quit doing it or if it was faster?
Oh, that's a good question. Not off the top of my head. I mean, sure, like of course I'd love never to do laundry again, but I'm on my way. I have one kid responsible for their laundry from start to finish. So I think it's just a matter of time and training to get the other one there too.
Yes. Or sometimes what I've done is then I say no mom guilt allowed. Person who knows how to do laundry, you are also going to do the towels for the whole family or the sheets or
Oh yeah,
something. Or
great
any of
idea.
you and your husband's laundry that isn't special, delicate care, whatever, that they're likely to forget about and put through the dryer when you don't want it. That means they can do someone else's laundry if it's standard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that idea. Cool. Yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah, it's just an interesting alternate way to look at your schedule when you're pretty happy with everything, but you're used to doing all those same tasks
Yeah.
and say, well, but if I could wave a magic wand,
Mm-hmm.
actually, I wouldn't be doing this anymore. And then you can say, oh, well, what solutions do we have?
Yeah, I love that. Because yeah, it's definitely easy to kind of get in that habit of like, well, I'm just gonna fit it all in. I'm gonna make
Mhm.
sure I can get it all done. And I like that idea.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to ask about?
So I think that was super, super helpful because honestly, I would have come in and said, I have no extra time. Like, there's too much. There's no way. There's no way. But really, like, this is super easy, really minor changes. And I feel like it's so doable now. So two things I am struggling to find time for, and maybe it's all part of this. Like, okay, we're going to cut back. I'm not going to cook every single night of the week. We're going to take out one night of therapy and slow things down just a little bit. That might be a big part of the solution. But I'm finding that we have all this going on. We're running here and there. Kids are, school and therapy. I'm chasing them. Husband's working. So we all get home. We do have some good habits for bedtime routine and just spending some quality time together with the kids. But then by the time they get to bed, I am ready to just drop. And I'm feeling like I don't have any time or energy to spend with my husband. And that is something that I feel like is really missing from our lives right now.
Yes. I think what's worked for me, so it may work for you, it's kind of a scheduling thing. Have you given yourself a break in the afternoon before all of the supper prep and homework and kid routine?
I am starting to, so
Okay.
that's new to me. Yeah.
Okay. What I would see is after a week of that, see if you have more energy once you've gotten the kids to bed to hang out with your husband. Because for me, I couldn't go straight through and deal with the supper and cleanup stuff because that lowered my energy reserves. And then I felt like
Mhm.
spending time with him was a to do instead of something relaxing.
Exactly. Hmm.
When I took off more of the cooking work and was not cooking every night or was not doing all the prep plus the cooking and the cleanup,
Yes.
suddenly the supper thing wasn't as big of a deal. Like if someone else was doing the dishes, or again, it was only every other night cooking, things like that really made a big difference in my energy as the mom. And then
Hmm.
put the kids to bed. And then I felt like I still had a bit of energy left. Or I could switch things around and be like, okay, if a shower is relaxing, I'll do the shower first and then hang out with him, like play around with the bedtime routine a little bit.
Hmm.
But the
Okay.
not doing so much work at supper was a big thing for me. So maybe that would help
I
as
think
well.
that probably the key for me as well, because um you know how it is, just you're standing in a warm kitchen, you're right, just have so much to take care of at that end of the day time, and so
Mhm.
many moving pieces, that taking some of that out and then adding in some extra rest, I
Yeah.
think could make a really big difference.
Yes. And some of it is the mindset of, look at me, I'm doing all this work and you guys are just eating it and going off. And when it's more of a co thing, like I'm like, okay, I will put away the leftovers. I'm going to
Mhm.
choose the right size container. I'm good at it. I like it. You're going to do the dishes. You're going to wipe down the table. You're going to
Yeah.
sweep the floor. I don't feel like I'm doing very much, because I picked the tasks that I enjoyed doing most and the ones that were hardest for them, because, hold up heavy pot and scrape it into, that takes a lot of strength and muscle control. So, but sweeping up the floor, not so bad, but very important to my idea of a clean kitchen.
Yeah, I think that would make a big difference. And I'm lucky my husband helps a ton with dishes and cleanup. So just simplifying the actual dinner prep and adding in some rest and just not feeling that overwhelm of knowing, okay, I have time baked in already for, the paperwork that's going to come up. I already have, some margin in case the kids get sick. I think that's a big mindset thing too, of just like, okay, peace of mind. I've got it under control. I have a plan. That's going to feel a lot better.
Yes, because then your post-supper time is not the overflow for all the things that you couldn't get to because all of a sudden you had the 2-second paperwork.
Yeah.
Since if you have a little bit of margin in the evening, even between food is done and I'm going to bed or the kids are going to bed, then you have a little bit of spare time that either it gets taken up with them or you have even more decompressing time before you hang out with your husband. You're already in a good frame of mind and you can just flex day to day.
Yeah. So I do have one more question for you, if that's okay.
Yes.
So I know you can see I have a lot going on. I'm very, very thankful for where I'm at, like how far I've come in the last 6 months. And especially since I've been kind of following you, listening to podcasts and all that, it's so much has opened up. But one thing I really, really want to add to my life is being able to write. That's sort of like my hobby, what I love to do. I have a blog and a podcast, and I don't get to work on it very often. I think it's not just that I don't have time necessarily, but mostly also that I don't have the energy after I do all this other stuff for everybody else. And I do, like, Saturdays, we keep very light and relaxed. We don't make a lot of plans. It's kind of when we celebrate Sabbath and just rest. So there is like the time there, but I'm finding that when I have the kids home, I have my husband home, I, do need that rest from the week. That it's just not happening there. And so I wondered if you had any ideas when I write, like, I do copywriting for my work, like my paid work. And so I don't feel like I can really add it in during the week because it's that same sort of brain space and that same energy. And yet I have sort of a lot of distractions going on and not a lot of energy on the weekends to fit it in.
Well, no shame there. It's like, just because it's a weekend and we cleared space doesn't mean we can automatically go straight into hobby passion project mode. It's like we still need decompression time. And a couple thoughts. I'm also not a business coach, but what if there was anything else you could delegate to your VA? What if we raised rates so you had a little bit less time for client task copywriting? Or what if we split your work? Since I do find, yes, I have to fit writing into work time blocks, but I don't like to do it in the same time block as a client task because of that same brain space thing. And it's too hard flipping back and forth. What if we flipped it either by day or by that work block of, here's morning or here's afternoon, depending on when you're doing it. So you could say I have the head in the morning for writing, depending on if you're a morning person. And then the afternoon, I'll be doing client copywriting, or this one day a week is my personal, my writing, my podcast, whatever.
Yeah. I think that's what I would love to get to is just have that one day per week where a weekday, typically nobody else is home. I could have that focus time, even like just an hour or two.
Okay.
So think
maybe just starting with like 1-2 hour time block for that. So let's see. Can we write down everything you're doing and see if there's 2 hours worth of work your VA could do for you if you have a few more templates, procedures, whatever's we can give her to help her think like you and talking to clients, or pre-outlining something in your copy. I don't know what all your business procedures look like for that, but something else.
Mhm. Yeah, I could think about that.
Yeah.
Even if it's a different person with a different skill set.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
possibility.
If there's anything else we can get off your plate, poof, we've created the 2 hours. And then the other way is to raise your rates just enough that you have 2 hours less of client work each week. I don't know if that's dropping
I
one
think that's
client or
a
half a client or
long
what.
term
Okay.
thing. Yeah, because I did just raise my rates in the new year to
Okay.
kind of accomplish the
Yeah.
same
So it's
thing.
too recent. Yeah.
Mhm.
But that would be a more long-term solution, and then you could be earning the same amount since you already know how much you need to make, but your time is a little bit less.
Mhm. Yeah. Or even I'm wondering, one thing that I've heard you say is like spending less time planning
Mhm.
long term as I sort of figure these things out. Like right now on Fridays, I spend a good hour or more planning my week for the next week, like, trying to juggle around all the schedules and therapies and, tasks that need to be done. So realistically, is that something that may shrink or go away over time, do you think?
I tend to do a similar amount of planning.
Okay.
Just because when there are that many things that work together or are on your plate, it does take time. And that's part of what makes your daily routine and the weekly routine work so smoothly for you, is you have thought of every single thing and slotted it in.
Yeah.
When you get to that planning module, though, in Mom Life Made Easy, if you haven't already, see if any of that helps you, because we're talking about repeatable templates, so you don't have to start from scratch, and the busy week templates and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, I still think I'm on module 4, so
Yeah.
I have ways to go, and I know there's a lot of good stuff still in there.
Yeah. So send in some weekly questions when you get there if you need some more help. But yeah, we have a thing
Okay.
on that. But I do find that the time taken when planning really helps. I mean, absolutely, if you can streamline any of your planning reminders for appointments, if they have a standard time, um, meal prep when your recipes tend to be specific. If you have a particular day a week, you typically do it, that ingredient or something that you always write in, thaw this kind of meat on this day. So like pre-adding as much as you can to your template,
Okay.
just to save yourself 10 seconds here and 10 seconds there. Then over time, I've found it can speed up a little. It's nothing drastic like, oh, I used to spend 65 minutes planning, now I spend 20. But
Yeah.
65 minutes planning and now I spend 40. That's an appreciable difference.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it gives me a ton of good ideas to work
Good.
with. So I will be sure to let you know how it's going and, any other questions that come up.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on, Shannon.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It was awesome talking to you.
Yes. I think this is going to be really helpful for our listeners to have an idea of what it looks like when you say, okay, a schedule isn't working, but actually it's almost there. And as you were saying, these are just tiny tweaks we're making, but the tiny tweaks can make a big difference when it's just that last little bit. So I hope your new margin and the ideas you've come up with make a huge difference in feeling like, yes, everything is going well and you always have time for pop-ups, because if pop-ups always happen, now we need a pop-up time block, pretty much.
Thank you.
And remember, to our listeners, if you want calls like this every week, but tailored to you and your problems, just fill out this quick application to get started working with me, because I want you to be an amazing work-at-home mom and actually be able to get everything done. So let's make sure you truly love your work-at-home mom life. Head over to the link I've included below and let's do this. That's all for now. Have a wonderful day.